So with the USD, it's been interesting. We've seen some upside yesterday. I believe on stream we were trading around here and we did see a bit of a rally. So is this the bottom for the dollar? It potentially could be. If price can start to hold the low here, which is some price support to our left, if we can stay above this zone, 99.250 we'll call it, then I am looking at that as a bottom, potentially a bit of a head and shoulder pattern there with the left shoulder over here, head over there, and potentially right shoulder. And then I am looking at that as a bottom, and potentially this will be the first high low, using support to our left and taking that as support again. So I think this will be crucial support for the dollar. If it does hold today, then we could be seeing some nice buying opportunities for the dollar. So selling maybe euro, selling pound. Again, with a pinch of salt, because I'm not necessarily expecting this to be a crazy move. I do think we do need a decent size retracement because the market's taken out some major lows on the weekly chart. So I do think we can see some upside. But I mean, in terms of a bottom, I think this might be a bottom for a retracement for price to continue later. So, I mean, it could be a big retracement. It could be something like this. But I do expect us to continue lower in the long term. But for now, we are seeing some signs it could be a bottom. So if this support can hold, then yeah, we could be looking at price turning around, and this could be a nice buying opportunity for the dollar. If we were to break through, then we're back at square one. I was expecting price just to swing it back to the lows and maybe even put some new lows in at that point as well. So very, very critical support if it does hold. It could be a bit of a turning point for the dollar. So taking that information into euro, kind of the same situation in terms of, okay, price consolidated here. We broke to the upside, broke back within the range, and again, leaving behind some resistance just above us. So again, if euro can push into this zone, respect it. I do think this could be a lower high there for euro, and some downside could be on the cards. Again, in inverse head and shoulder pattern for the dollar, but a head and shoulder pattern here for euro. So you get your left, your head, and your right shoulder. If you can respect that resistance, that could be a nice short, potentially back into that low, or maybe back into some highs down there. Again, with euro, I'm still longer term bullish with this one. I do think we can still see higher prices, but I'm just not interested in buying euro at the current prices we're at. We've taken out some major highs in the weekly chart. We've already seen a lot of momentum. You can see we're starting to lose that momentum as well. So in terms of a big swing trade, this is not the best place to be looking to buy. You want price to retrace, find some support further down, and then we can start talking about some longer term swings. So if anything, if we can pull back, that's actually a great thing, because that will allow me the opportunity to start buying euro again for a much bigger play. Even the high here is something I would consider. So yeah, I would say keep a close eye on around 1.14300. If that does hold, equally same with the dollar. If the dollar can hold the support level we just mentioned, that could be a really nice turning point for both of them. I was looking for this area to hold yesterday. We saw a brief bounce, but momentum kicked in, so we didn't really push away. It looks like we've got some resistance above us, which if that can sustain, it could be a really nice short there. Pound USD, similar situation. I was looking for, I mean, we're still trading within the area, so we can still see that bounce. I'll say euro shorts look a lot cleaner than pound USD. If I was shorting pound, ideally, I'd want it to be back at the daily high again. So if I scoot to the daily time frame, mark this point out again. Yeah, ideally, I would want it to be around that area. Not really seeing the same head and shoulder pattern with pound USD as we're seeing with euro, but again, they're very similar pairs as well. If dollar is going to push up, then pound USD is likely going to push down as well. But yeah, with pound USD, we are still kind of respecting this zone here. This is where all the momentum came from last week. We are still kind of reacting with that zone. Again, short-term bullish bias with pound USD, but I am still looking at for a much bigger retracement for this one. I do think long-term we can still see higher prices, but I'm looking to see if pound can get back to 1.31 or even 1.3, to be honest. That would be a very nice retracement for me. If I whip out the fib from the swing low to the swing high, these are the areas which I'm interested for that longer term move. So still looking for a bit more downside for pound USD. Perhaps we go to retest the high again I wouldn't probably look to try and sell pound USD. I think euro looks a lot better based on how we're trading in the price action. But if pound can get back to these prices, 1.31, 1.3, well, that would definitely interest me in terms of some longer term buys. In dollar CAD's case, we did break to the upside out of this range here. So again, dollar CAD, there might be some nice longs here on an intraday level. We had some prior support from a couple of weeks back, was taken as resistance. Price then broke through, and now we're back retesting that same level as support. So if price can hold this, again, I think this is a nice place for a buy, essentially coming back to retest that range, but equally coming back to test a nice level of support. I think intraday that could be a nice place for a long. Probably wait for a stronger shift of momentum on the hourly chart, like a nice bullish engulfing. At the moment, things still look pretty bearish, but we are at a nice location. And that could, again, be potentially the bottom of dollar CAD and the start of a move to the upside. I think it does hinge on what dollar's going to do, because if the DXY, of course, does break through that support level there, well, then DXY is probably going to head back to the low, and then probably dollar CAD to do the same. If DXY does hold the support and we do turn around, well, dollar CAD will probably do the same as well. So keep a close eye on the DXY, because it will paint the picture. But yeah, if we can hold this level, I think that's a nice place for a buy. Again, I'm still very eager with the shorts with dollar CAD. I'm still very consistent with all these lower highs. I still think we can still see lower prices. And my plan is to look to try and find the next lower high on the next pullback. And this is the low which intrigues me at the moment. So if I can see a pullback into 1.405, that's when I'll start being interested in selling dollar CAD again and taking it to the downside. I'm not interested in selling at these prices. We're too corrective. Market's already had a big drop. Not really do me much good selling down at those prices, unless I'm going to be intraday and be fairly in and out, then I can understand that. But not a swing position, not at those prices. But that's still what I'm looking at for dollar CAD. It hasn't changed for myself, but there could be some nice buys off that level. In terms of Aussie dollar, still looking for a bit more retracement for this one. It looks like we're really failing at the highs here. So price has had a couple attempts now at trying to break resistance here. It hasn't really amounted to much. We're still seeing a lot of wicks, a lot of rejection. So I'm kind of hoping that we can retrace a little bit more now. I said initially this would be a level which I'm looking to buy from, which is back down at 0.63250. I also like the low here as well. So I'm just looking to see which level possibly could give me the buys I'm looking for on Aussie dollar. Again, the idea is that we've had this massive impulse down, impulse back up. So that really aggressive V-shaped pattern. Now, simply I'm looking for the correction of that for some more upside. I do think this could be a bit of a bottom for Aussie dollar from this bearish move. So I do think we can see a pretty big bullish move soon with Aussie dollar. So I'm looking to see if I can take advantage of that. But at the moment, just haven't seen enough retracement. The market's been very, very corrective. Yes, we've seen some momentum come back into the market, but not much, not enough for me to get excited just yet. So still looking for a bit more downside for Aussie dollar, 0.632, 0.624. Those are sort of the areas I'm looking at before I can start finding some entries. And USD, same situation here as well. Lovely break to the upside, a lot of momentum. Still looking for a much bigger pullback before looking for any buying opportunities. I like the possibility for the retest of the high here. This is where we had that lovely bearish move. We've since gone and broken through that. A retest of that looks really good to me. And then again, expecting a lot more upside as well. But again, really aggressive V-shaped pattern. Just looking for the correction and the continuation of that. At the moment, does look like we're having some type of pullback here, but nothing to get me excited. Possibly we may continue from this, but that just doesn't interest me. It hasn't been enough of a pullback for me to get excited. It is pretty corrective. It looks nice. Momentum looks like it's shifting, so perhaps we do get another push back to the high there for USD, but it's not in a situation where I'm expecting a big move, so I'm not really looking to jump into that. Yeah, I still need USD to retrace a lot further. And if you can get back to 0.58500, which is this zone here, that should give us a suitable retracement. Even if we swing it back to a high, that's still a pretty decent move there. So that's still what I'm after with USD. In terms of gold, we did see a bit more downside with gold, but it didn't really amount to much. We had another push lower, and then gold decided to find support, and we pushed back up pretty aggressively. We're still coming into that head and shoulder resistance area, so it's going to be very tricky to see what gold does, because if we respect this area, that could still be a pretty nice short potentially for gold, especially because gold is still very overstretched, very overextended. If gold is going to retrace, it's probably going to be a pretty big one. So I'm expecting decent risk reward opportunities here. But at the moment, we're still respecting that zone. My my full process with gold is just to see what we do here. At the moment, we're respecting pretty well, but it looks like we're coming back for another retest. If we can continue to respect it, that could be a really nice short opportunity to at least swing it back to lows, but probably a lot further than that as well. There's this consolidation just below us. I think that would at least be a nice target as well. If price was to break through and start to print some higher highs and higher lows again, then yeah, we're probably just going to push back to highs at that point, which is 3,500. But this is a very pivotal area because this looks like a really nice head and shoulder pattern, a lot of momentum to the downside. If we can respect this, I think that's a really nice place for a short. Equally, a nice place for a buy as well if we do break through. So that would make up my bias there for gold, depending what we do at this level. So far, it's nice and slow. So if we keep that up, maybe see a nice shift of momentum, that could be a nice short on even the hourly chart. Could go lower, but the hourly chart would be nice as well. And then, yeah, we'll see what happens from that level. But, yeah, that is an interesting level. Does look like a nice head and shoulder pattern there. And, of course, you got your lovely silver, which did give us quite a nice move to the upside yesterday. So silver's consolidating. Nice break to the upside. I think, again, judging how everything is looking, I think this could be a nice place for a buy. But again, I'll keep it short term with silver. Hasn't been a big enough breakout for me to be interested, to be honest. The market's still quite stretched. And again, I'm not necessarily expecting to hold into position for a massive move, especially when we look to the left and we still got areas like such where we had a massive amount of selling pressure last time we were here. Brief consolidation, humongous move to the downside. Now we're back there again. I would imagine more sellers are looking to enter the market. Now, I am still very bullish with silver, and I'm still looking for a good excuse to buy it, to be honest. I'm just looking to time myself and be patient enough to wait for a good trade. But at the moment, we're still coming back into supply here. I know it was a nice push yesterday, and it was a good push. And I think this is still a really nice place for a buy. Solid resistance, respected it on multiple occasions, clean break. This will be the first test. I think this is a nice place for a buy. But would I hang on to a position here for a bigger move? No. Intraday move, yeah, I would. I think trade for like a day. I think you could get a nice bounce there for a day. But if we were to come back into resistance, that's where things get shaky again. And maybe sellers do take us a lot lower. So that would be my worry with the silver position. But again, depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for an intraday move, for a session or for a day, then yeah, that's a decent place for a buy. If you're looking to try and swing it back to 35 and you look for a really big swing trade for silver because you have like a long-term bias, well, I wouldn't say that's the best place to position yourself long for that.